As I said, I was starting to save fuel, going into the hairpin, and then whoops, bit of contact there. Welcome back to the FIA GT Championship 1997 in Automobilista 2, where today we head back to Europe to race in the UK for the second time this season as we arrive in Donington Park for round 7. This is also the first time that we race on a circuit that was not on the F1 calendar of that year, and we will actually see more of those non-F1 circuits now at the end of the season, which should make this whole thing a bit more interesting. Furthermore, I have turned the AI strength even further up to give us a bit more of a challenge at the front. In real life, that was another Mercedes 1-2 with the BMW McLarens coming home 3rd and 5th, which means our number 9 challenger finally made its way back to the point-scoring positions. This is also the race where eventual champion Bernd Schneider took the lead of the championship for the first time after controversially switching cars mid-race in the last 2 rounds, which was outruled for the rest of the season from this event on, but as it turns out later, too late for McLaren and too late for a thrilling title fight that would have gone down to the wire most likely. For me, I am not entirely sure what to expect from this race and this track, so I set myself the target of just beating the number 6 Porsche of Boutsen, which is the only remaining somewhat realistic threat in the championship, so we may actually be able to seal it all at the next race. In theory, this could already happen today, but only if I win the race while Boutsen doesn't score. So now let's just have a brief look at the starting grid where we see our car going into this race from 5th, and as usual, that was also its starting position in the real event. Here is the second part of the grid, and you will see the 3 painters is missing today with the simple reason that the mod for that was not updated to the current version of the game at the time of recording, so that shouldn't matter too much in the championship anyway though, as we go racing at Donington. Well, and here we are rolling towards the line to start this race. I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with Donington because in theory I like this track, but my experiences in racing games with this track are not very good. Just look at the DTM 1992 European Tour series I did on this channel, and then DTM Race Driver 2. Also frustrating memories of this track. So far we have dropped down a spot and we are behind the Lark McLaren of Keiichi Tsuchiya, who again managed to get a good starting position in this race. But let's try to get past him as quick as we can. As up the hill we go, through the S's we went for the first time. Will be very exciting this part of the track later this race when we can run them without traffic, as we have a little look down the inside here. Tsuchiya runs a bit wide, and that allows us the better exit. Now we are on what will be the best overtaking zone at this circuit, which is this chicane. Well, it is actually part of the 2 best overtaking spots, as the next one is just coming up here, which is the hairpin, which leads back onto another straight that goes into another left-hand hairpin then to conclude the lap. It is a pretty short track, this one, 4 kilometers. As we're coming around the final corner, up to 5th. Now ahead of us are the 3 Mercedes as well as Steve Soper, Thierry Boutsen still behind us. So after lap 1 we are on target for our goal this race. As I run a little bit wide here in turn 1, and now let's look through the S's here. What a great part of the circuit. Love this corner actually. Pretty challenging as you have to brake on the turning. And behind us, speak of the devil, Thierry Boutsen having a little look. We have to defend from him. We leave the apex wide open there, but we stay ahead for the moment. And we get a good run out of this corner, so no chance for him into the chicane, as usually we should have the quicker car in a straight line anyway. Well, and from here on it was pretty much a chase after Alessandro Nannini in the number 10 Mercedes ahead of us, as you can now watch me chase that Mercedes down. Well, and as we come around the final corner, you see that this was my fastest lap so far, and we were gaining little by little to Nannini. The last couple of laps were personal bests as well, but you cannot afford a single mistake, because look at that, running wide at the exit of turn 1, and that is all the progress I made with my personal best that previous lap. That is all of that progress undone. But later on, we were again close to the back of that Mercedes, and he in turn was not too far away from the top 3, so we are still very much in the fight for the race win here. Again, I plan this to be a one-stopper. I will need to save a bit of fuel. Again, running wide there at turn 1, and again losing some ground on Nannini. But yeah, fuel saving is a concern, as I said. Well, let's see if I saved enough fuel, because I'm pushing really hard to get close to him and hopefully past him. But I suppose everyone that is not in a Porsche is pretty short on fuel and will need to do a bit of saving, which I think Nannini is doing right now, because I've been gaining quite a lot, even with that mistake at turn 1. As we are alongside going towards the chicane, we will have the outside line for the first half of that chicane. Oh, we brake late, and we're even ahead of him at the apex. So that is us up to P4. Let's hope he doesn't try a counter-attack into the hairpin. He doesn't. So indeed, we're up to P4. And now I decided that it was time to start with the fuel saving, because we will definitely and absolutely need that if we want to make it on one stop. Still watching him in the mirrors, because I don't really trust him. Well, I will get confirmation as to why I didn't really trust that Mercedes in my mirrors, because he's still there. As I said, I was starting to save fuel, going into the hairpin, and then whoops, bit of contact there. Nannini cheekily sends one up the inside and actually takes the position, which annoyed me a bit in the car at the time. Late on the brakes for the final hairpin. Actually, I didn't even want to go for such a massive send, but it paid off. We made it through without contact. Of course, Nannini had to open the door. But yeah, I mean, come on. He sent one up the inside, I sent one up the inside in turn, so I guess we should be fine. And let's look at the replay of that move. Or these two moves, actually. Here we go, towards the hairpin. And seeing it from the outside, I must say, the contact here is actually on me, because he was significantly alongside. I just left the door wide open for him, because I didn't think he would send it. Well, and certainly he didn't think that I would send it here, but that was a good one, actually. So immediately we retake that position. He has a little look then as we go towards turn 1. We didn't really see that from inside the car, but he backs out of that move. And we take the apex and turn 1 and stay in P4. Well, this is another couple of minutes later. We've been losing to the top 3 because still fuel saving. And there we are, running again wide at the exit. That corner invites you to go earlier on the throttle than you actually should do. And that is what happens to me again. And at this moment I realize that there is contact. I think we just pushed Nannini off the road. Oh, and we then run wide at this corner here. I don't know where Nannini is at the moment. I got the feeling that he was still alongside, which meant I braked extra late for this corner. Missed the apex, run wide, and then that is Nannini and Pierre Raffanel in the Golf McLaren. Also goes through there. Oh, and that is a bummer now. As that means we're back down to P6, and I increase the fuel mode because I don't want to lose too much. Let's look at the replay of what actually happened here, because it was hard to see from the inside, and I think I misjudged multiple times where Nannini was. That was me running wide at the exit here. Now Nannini is alongside. I didn't realize that. Committed fully flat out to the corner. Pushed him off the road. He then went off the track himself there. Oh, he almost loses the car there. And I thought he was alongside. Left the door wide open, but he wasn't actually there. So I just ran off the road cleanly, all on my own. And well, that was a bit of a shame. We were staying with these two, but never really close enough to attack. And I had a bit of a realization here, not even halfway into this race, that I might not make it with the one stop, because I haven't saved enough, and I don't want to save all throughout that second stint. So, at this point, I have slowly decided that, and this is what you're seeing here, I will go for a 2-stop. So I won't change tires at this first pit stop, so I will keep that one really short. Just take 60 liters of fuel with me instead of the 100 that I would have taken to fill up the car. So we will have a very quick pit stop, probably overtake everybody in the pits, and then we can push, but we will have to do another pit stop, of course, for which I will also change tires to have fresh ones towards the end. Well, and we were in with all of the other top drivers, and as you can see, that worked. We've passed them all because we had a way shorter pit stop. We kept our tires that we started this race with, put less fuel in the car than they did. They will all try to make it to the end. I think it may even be possible, but I think you will have to do a lot of saving. So, yeah, I don't know if this is the ideal solution. Well, this is me a bit later, as we are catching up to some Porsches who haven't pitted yet, so don't worry. That P14 is just momentarily. These cars will all need to pit for the first time still. And I can go much quicker than them because I push like hell right now. As we go for a pass on Bouchot in the Kremer Porsche. Through the chicane, we make it past. That was another massive send. As we go into the hairpin behind one of the Nissans. That, yeah, again, hopelessly down the order. They haven't pitted either, so they are fuel efficient, but they can't use it as well as the Porsches can. And I think now everybody of the Porsches and Nissans that are a lot more fuel efficient is in. And we see that confirmation. We are in the race lead. So again, we will have to push, but we will also have to do another pit stop. So, yeah, this will all be decided after my second pit stop. Then we'll really see where we are. And, well, there is a bit of an issue now as we're coming across some back markers that are a lap down. That was Katsuyoshi Hoshino in the number 33 Nissan, who got a bit in the way of us. And, well, you will see me now navigating the traffic, and you will see how much time I'll lose behind these guys, because not all of them jump out of the way quite easily. Well, and these last two were really good examples of how you should behave as a backmarker. Thomas Boucher in the Golf McLaren absolutely wasn't, because he got in the way quite heavily at the end of the Esters, and now, with just under 13 minutes to go, it was time for that way longer pit stop, because we will change for fresh tires and we will also fuel the car up. Fuel goes in first after 20 seconds. That was done. And now here are the tires, and at that moment the top three have just passed us, so down to fourth. We were sixth ahead of our first pit stop. This is where we would be right now as well. Tires are going on. 41.7 second pit stop, and we're still sixth, so at least we didn't lose. We are way down on Nannini and Raffanel, but again, fresh tires, we can push, at least when we have brought these tires up to temperature. Bottom right, you see they are ice cold right now. The rear is heating up nicely already, as it is September already here in the game, middle of September. Like when that race was in real life. Yeah, temperature's not that high as well, as we see Chris Goodwin in the Parabolica McLaren just behind us. Now we have to defend on cold tires. Can we do that? Ooh, missing the apex there, running wide, and that is Goodwin through. There is another car just behind us. I think that may even be Bootson, is it? Oh, I think it is. So, this is the fight for the final point scoring positions, but now, as the tires are slowly getting some heat in them, this should be a fight that we can easily win, and already into the chicane. We have a look against Goodwin. He stays ahead for the moment in that yellow McLaren. But then into the hairpin, and it is another send into a hairpin as we pass him, repass him. Oh, that was... I didn't know what I was doing there. I think watching my mirrors too much, so I got two wheels on the grass. Goodwin has a look around the outside, but this is never going to work at that final corner. Tries the up and under, doesn't work, and we're up to P6 again. And now, it is all about getting some qualifying laps in these last 10 minutes and 20 seconds to try and get back to Raffanel and Nannini, and then it should be easily possible to pass them. But, well, we are jumping ahead in time a bit, and these are the final two laps of this race, and you can actually see Raffanel and Nannini in the distance. We have set some really quick lap times, and I will continue to do so. I will not give up, because they will have to do a lot of fuel saving. It will be very tight at the end. There you can see him just going down the hill, now up the hill again. And I'm really pushing, but I must say, that was extremely enjoyable, this race, even if we only finish this one in 6th as it stands right now. It is super enjoyable. Much more so than, for example, the Spielberg race, which we won because we had to do so much fuel saving. Now, late in the race, light car, fresh tires that are up to temperature, we can just push flat out, give it everything, which is so much fun with these cars at that track. So at least Donington has absolutely redeemed itself here, in my personal opinion, because this is some fantastic fun. And we are gaining a lot more on them these last laps than we have at the beginning of this stint. Because I think they're really fighting to get to the end. We have gained like quarter of the pit straight. Personal best lap, yet another one here. But this will already be the final lap of this race. Time will run out in 20 seconds. Not enough time for anyone to cross the finish line again for another lap. And again we are on a personal best after the first sector. And these assists, it is so much fun with this car. Loved it. And I think just 2-3 more laps and we would have actually made it up to at least P4. But it is what it is in the end. I think even with that fuel saving and the one stop, it would have been the same result. We would have finished 6th. Maybe Goodwin would have even caught us. So it would have been a boring P6. This one is an exciting P6, at least for me, in the car. Look how close we are right now. And oh, what is that? Raffanel slowing down. Oh, and Soper is out of this race. We're up to 4th. Soper has run out of fuel on the final lap in our teammate number 8 McLaren. And now in the number 3 Golf McLaren, Raffanel also run out of fuel. So we made it. P4 in the end. And look at that. Nannini also just stops after passing the finish line. Oh, incredible. So we get that P4 still in the end. So let's look at the point scorers, and this time Mercedes, they were struggling on strategy and with their fuel numbers this season. This time they made it to perfection. It is a Mercedes 1, 2, 3, and we finished 4th, just 8.8 seconds down. Good win. Another good point scoring result for Parabolica McLaren as Thierry Boutsen finishes in 6th and claims the final point of this race. And in the championship standings, that means that we are now 22 points clear of Boutsen, which means he needs to score 3 points more than we do next race to stay in the championship fight, which of course the other way around means we have very good chances to clinch the championship at round 8 with 2 races to spare already. Bernd Schneider moves into 3rd with that race win. Also Bernd Mailander moves up a couple of spots and is now in 5th. In the team's championship, Team BMW Motorsport stays in the championship lead. Porsche is in 2nd, while Mercedes, with a massive, the maximum haul of points that was possible for them today, enters into 3rd, tipping David Price Racing from the podium there. Well, and that has been it for round 7 of the FIA GT Championship 1997 in Automobilista 2 at Donington. The next race will be the final race in Europe, which takes place at Mugello. Subscribe to not miss that, leave a like if you did enjoy this video, and I hope to see you all the next time. Until then, goodbye.